services in the cities are accessible to all. Public transport is seen as a viable alternative to cars. Public transport is safe and reliable. Walking and cycling is safe. Areas of open space are safe, accessible, and enjoyable. Wherever possible, renewable sources are used instead of non-renewable resources. Waste is seen as a resource and is recycled wherever possible. New homes are energy efficient. There is access to affordable housing. Community links are strong and communities work together to deal with issues such as crime and security. Cultural and social amenities are accessible to all, and inward investment is based in to the CBD, community-based development. And then some of the questions we normally ask when we talk about sustainability and any smart city, and I don't know whether you have been asking these questions, but think of your town or city that you live in or nearby and ask yourself the following question. Could it be more sustainable? Do people walk, cycle, or use public transport rather than cars? Are there enough open spaces, services, and cultural amenities for everyone? Is there enough investment in the city center? Is there a strong sense of community? Is waste recycled? Is there affordable housing for everyone? Are homes energy efficient? Do they use renewable energy? So these are the, I think, questions that are based on the previous slide that I think we need to ask, and we should continue to ask ourselves as well as our city management authorities and administration. Then different people define sustainability and smart cities in different ways. These are some of the very quick look into different perspectives. Okay. Like this particular model looks at human well-being at the top and resilience and sustainability and economy at the center of it. Then this is another way of looking at this thing, like how building, transportation, infrastructure, and information, they constitute to development of a smart, sustainable city. This is another way of looking at it, the constraints of urban systems and how do they help each other, governance, infrastructure and built environment, socio-economics and natural environment. This is another way of looking at cities, urban systems to the resource of future well-being. And so I'm just giving you, these are the different models that different stakeholders look at cities from, different lenses from which cities are looked upon today by different set of stakeholders, different ecosystem, different. This is another way of looking at it. So now why I'm showing this is that these all are fine. But beyond this, we need another way of looking at it also. Okay. And so these are some further this thing. I'll share these slides. You can go through this. But what we need to look at it is also the UN SDGs. And you'll say why UN SDGs? And there are 17 UN SDGs. And out of these 17, 11th UN SDG is dedicated to and sustainable. I'm not going to go through this whole text because you already can go through this from public domain UN websites. And these are the UN Sustainable Development Goals going further deeper. And then there are a whole lot of indicators corresponding to these goals. The question is why we need to map all the 17 SDGs to cities or smart cities. What our learning was that it has been observed that all the 17 SDGs have some interplay with different aspects of the cities. Cities are a confluence of the three core pillars of sustainability: the environment, the society, and the economy. So understanding the relationship of all the 17 SDGs individually with respective aspects of the cities shall go a long way in making our cities comprehensively smart, sustainable, resilient, safe, secure, and citizens-friendly. Hence, a structured meta-analysis is the first step towards a sustainable and resilient future for our children and future generations. But how do we map these 17 SDGs with cities' diverse aspects? So this is what the exercise which I've been doing for last some time, about 1.5 years or so. So the approach that we came up with was develop or understand the conceptual or reference model of sustainable development. Develop the conceptual reference model of cities or smart cities, whatever you want to consider. Okay. Explore the interplay between SDGs and different aspects of cities by looking at the cities through first the macro lens of sustainability or sustainable development model, followed by granular review of cities aspects through lenses of individual SDGs and their respective targets and indicators one by one. Based on the learning, identify and capture the relevant KPIs for the cities in context of the SDGs and the targets. This can be followed by mapping the standards developed by different SDOs, okay, to agreed KPIs. After mapping the already developed standards, we can undertake the gap analysis to identify the new standards that need to develop to ensure the future cities comprehensively embrace all the SDGs in possible manner. So whenever you talk about SDGs, everybody says, yeah, we are adopting them, we follow them, we are this thing. But unless we map them to our city's aspects in a granular, comprehensive and structured and scientific manner, our claims may be only greenwashing. And I think greenwashing is very prevalent today, but I think people who are dedicated to transforming our urban landscapes into really sustainable and resilient cities, we need to be more honest and more structured and scientific in our approach. So this is an example of city reference model. Okay, so like we have on the top, you see city governance, city management, city operations. And then we have multiple verticals like energy, water, waste, and all these different services, utilities. And then on the left-hand side, we have all these desired characteristics, the cross-cutting characteristics like security, safety, privacy, resilience, interoperability, and all these. And the base on the foundation, you see geometric sensor. There's all the basic data that we need to build our city as a smart, sustainable. This thing. There's a top level capabilities model, but there are so many other models that we can develop. But then looking at how do we do this? What we look at it? Methodology from Joint Smart City Task Force that we are doing is we pick up as SDG. We look at its targets and indicators, and then look at develop some KPIs, and then map them with our city's different aspects. So then whether you want a city or smart city, and then we can even further go and map to the respective standards. So this is the typical approach that we have developed, and we are working on this further. And this is further detailing, like this is just a you can say a snapshot from the Excel sheet metrics that we have developed. So these are the goals, different goals. This is from UN website itself. We downloaded the all this Excel sheet from there. Okay, and we have these goals and all these, and then we have the sub goals, and then we map them to different transport, economic, environment, city government, universal capabilities, and this is a particular way that we map, and then we look into different standards. But then different logical frameworks, okay, have been developed by different SDOs. Like there's some quick look at how the ISO 37106 looks at the cities. And this is what we did was we try to map the standards and standardization work in different SDOs with the SDGs. And these were some of the different approaches, okay, that have been like, you see different in each column, you see you have some IEC, some ISO, some ITU standards. And you here, as per ISO 37106, we look at these 4 aspects, like 5 aspects: technology and infrastructure, data, integrated city-wide governance, services, customer delivery, etc. And then you have all the SDGs at the bottom, and you see that. There's another way of mapping. We're developing a logical framework with using ISO 37101 and maybe ISO IEC 30145. This thing. So there are different ways we are trying all these and see which becomes much more structured, much more, you can say, user-friendly, understandable, and deployable. There's another way of looking at things, okay? And then there's another way of mapping all these work into the sustainable development goal, like smart governance, openness, integrated smart working. Then we are looking at economy, society and service, environment. And then we to drive all this transformation of the cities. And then these are further detailing at the matrix level. Each and every SDG is being mapped to our different standard from ISO, IEC, JTC1, and ITU. Okay. And there's another way of looking at, mapping the sustainable, local government. This was a framework which was developed by ISO a long time back, and now what we are trying to do, we are trying to map the different standards and different aspects of city into these aspects also. So in this particular graphics, you see it is basically city is split into 4 different aspects: governance, environment, society, and economy. And all these different aspects of this thing and their respective standards and SDGs have been mapped to these 4 aspects of the cities. But now the question comes, why do we need, every time we hear, we talk about KPIs. The question, why do cities need KPIs? We need KPIs for efficiency in urban operation services. KPIs are the means to improve quality of life, and KPI is the way to cultivate environmental sustainability. To support the monitoring of relevant projects and initiatives, key performance indicators can be universal instrument to evaluate the progress of a smart city strategies, and KPIs in general measure the effectiveness of a project towards achievement of specific key objectives. Okay, so dimensions of KPIs for smart sustainable cities typically have been identified are like productivity, environmental sustainability, physical infrastructure, quality of life, and equity and social inclusion. And people find that ICT is at the core of enabling these KPIs, and I'll come to this later on a bit. But then this is a UN Habitat City Prosperity Index. And this again talks about the same things that we just talked about, we see, and there are different detailed definition, variables, etc., and different aspects. Then KPI principles. What are the principles of identifying and developing KPIs? KPIs need to be comprehensive. Set of indicators should cover all the aspects of smart sustainable cities. Availability. The KPI should be quantitative, and historic and current data should either be available or easy to collect. Otherwise, we will never be able to, measure any particular aspect with respect to a particular KPI. Independence. The KPIs in the same dimension should be independent or almost orthogonal. That is, overlap of the KPIs should be avoided as much as possible. Simplicity. The concept of each indicator should be simple and easy to understand for the urban stakeholders. Timeliness. This refers to the ability to produce KPIs with respect to emerging issues in smart and city sustainable construction or deployment. So the approach, this is one of the approach that ITU has taken, that they have split this into, as you say, economy, environment, and society and culture. So these are the different, you can say, sub aspects that they think are important for economy, environment, and society. And they see that like information communication technology is a horizontal to enable all these KPIs. Then there's a further, you can splitting that into 54 core indicators, 37 advanced indicators, out of which 20 are about smart, 32 are about structural, and 39 are about sustainable. So we have identified 132 data collection points. And then further, these are the same categories that you saw in the previous slide. Okay, and so they have been further split into so many core and advanced indicators aspect. And this is the same thing that I was talking about. Now, further you go into that category, core indicators on economy, 13, core indicators on environment, 19, core indicators on society and culture, 22. And similarly, additionally, they have been split into each aspect, economy, environment, and society and culture. And KPIs total have been like 92 KPIs have been already identified by in ITU. And then additional KPIs for smart sustainable cities to assess the SDGs have been, core indicators 54, and then this categories further are 41. So total 95 more the same have been added up. So city indicator framework also has been developed, like people, planet, prosperity, governance, and propagation. This is another aspect added in this, scalability and replicability, etc., to look at the city indicator framework. Then city livability index. Well, this is a typical percentage given, but cities can add some more dimensions and choose their own percentage weightage of each and every aspect, whether it is quality of life, economic ability, sustainability, citizen perception survey, or you can add some few more aspects also. Each city develops its own. So actually, we should never follow a straight simple model like a replicator of these things. We should always extrapolate these indexes and these metrics with our own ground realities of respective cities. Without that, it doesn't really remain something. And then one thing is very important. When we talk about KPIs, data is very, very important, whichever kind of data, and I think it has been talked in the previous presentation also. But then how the KPI is generated. Okay, so these are the few steps how you generate the KPIs. Data collection, select suitable data sources and data collection for each indicator. Data normalization, transform all the raw data into a normalized value for each indicator. Data aggregation, aggregate the normalized value of each indicator for each dimension. Data assessment, assess the result of all the dimensions for the final index. And smart city evaluation, draw the conclusion from the final index that comes out of this exercise. Okay, so a city can be looked at a system of systems. There are different ways you can look at cities, but what do you do? Now, if you want to look at these aspects, we need to, rethink our cities and prioritize the infrastructure. The premise of smart city has evolved from a technology-centric project to one that leverages technology to create sustainable and citizen-centric environment. It is no longer enough simply to deploy sensors. Companies and governments need to demonstrate a meaningful impact on the population. Keeping pace with the challenges presented by COVID-19, escalating sustainability commitments, and ongoing population growth will require unprecedented urban investment and innovation. We see smart infrastructure as pivotal to smart city evolution. Then the smart city KPI landscape, multiple SDOs and multiple organizations have developed so many smart city KPIs. What my suggestion would be, look at all of them and then create a matrix of your own, based on your own priorities, your own governance, your own, you can say philosophy, thought process, aspirations, concerns, and develop your own set of city KPIs, and then try to map them with the different aspects of city and create a framework for measuring them on a periodical basis, and come up with a transparent maturity model for your city and your community and all that. So a comprehensive approach for working on this KPIs would be, need to review all the KPI frameworks, develop a comprehensive understanding, and develop an overarching superset KPI framework based on the goals and objectives for the smart city that we envision. Enumerate the insights that need to be extracted to evaluate city performance against each KPI. Develop the architecture of the unified dashboard to capture and represent all the agreed KPIs. And then develop specifications of each module representing all the KPIs and respective insights needed as the outcome. Enumerate the data or data sets needed for each module. Now map the data set required with a unified database of your integrated command control center. And this way you will also be able to understand if you are collecting all the required data, you are deploying a lot of sensors, a lot of IoT devices, a lot of infrastructures, and collecting a lot of data. But the data that you are collecting, is it good enough, or you need to add a few more aspects to meet all your KPIs? The data that you're collecting should not be collected for sake of data collection, but should be able to be useful to measure your KPIs. And so what do we need? A comprehensive approach. So to summarize, undertake gap analysis, identify, capture, and document the missing data sets and context information to develop comprehensive insights to meet respective KPIs, identify and document the constraints of the city under evaluation, and develop the strategy to fill the gap or augment the infrastructure to meet all the KPIs. So I think this was basically about how do we talk about SDGs, how do we map SDGs, and how do we do the KPIs, this thing. And one thing that we have been recently that we have been feeling, maybe we need one more SDG, 18th SDG, because of a meaningful, safe digital life. When we are talking about the more than 4.5 billion people using the internet, and over 3.8 billion people are active on social media, data shows that average internet user now spends 6 hours and 42 minutes online each day, which equates to more than 100 days of connected time per internet user per year, or roughly 40% of our waking life. It becomes clear to me that we live in the digital first work from home world, Yet, not one of the 17 sustainable goals address a fair, more livable digital future for our fast evolving technology-driven world. What if we could significantly enhance our quality of life with an additional UN sustainable goal that encourages companies to use data for mutual benefit rather than for unwelcome intrusion or manipulation? Anyway, with that, my human need to radically change our relationship, not just with the planet, but with the objects with which we fill our lives. We need to change how we think. Technological advancement to steer our narratives. Innovation and technology should help us build bridges between the world we inhabit now and the ones we imagine for tomorrow. Technology is an enabler. It's not the means. It's not the goal. It's just a means. Okay. And one last word. We all know we are looking at, I think, with the digital transformation, everything, we are creating a whole lot of digital waste. We need to optimize that. Okay. And that itself would be one major, you can say, step towards making our planet more sustainable and all that. Because just to give an example, each email that you save on your desktop or server somewhere, Gmail or whatever, it has a carbon footprint of 4 grams. Okay, imagine if everyone deletes 10 emails today, the kind of carbon footprint, the energy that you'll save, the GHG emission you'll save is not funny. So I think we need to be more conscious when we are adopting our disruptive technologies today. We need them, but we need to use them in a most appropriate and most optimized manner to stay sustainable. Okay, with that, I will stop and say thank you for sustainable and resilient future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Kishore Narang. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to question and answer session related to the materials. First of all, we provide the first term of question to the on-site participants. Would like any on-site participants to convey the question? Okay, it seems we haven't got the question from the on-site professor. However, we have question from online participant.
Yes.
It's coming from Mr. Yazid from Universitas Gajah Mada University, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Good morning from Indonesia, Professor. We do know that modern organization model offers OKR or objective key results parametric solutions that we can improve related to the dynamic problems we face. Compared to that, how the KPI we learn today would still be reliable for smart city, which is dynamically growing? Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, so I think KPIs are not static at any time. KPIs we only define based on our understanding of our cities and changing priorities. As I mentioned, so the KPIs which I showed were developed by this ITU, ISO, IC, etc. over a period of time. But now that things are changing, so we need to envision the kind of cities that for the future we want for ourselves and our future generation. And based on that, we keep on updating, optimizing, and selecting our KPIs. So KPI also are dynamic; they are not static. And based on changing requirements, changing priorities, changing geopolitical, socio-economic, technological changes in our society, we need to keep them dynamic and alive. And they are a moving scale. It's a moving target always. It's not a static thing. And everybody says that smart is not the ultimate goal. Smart is a journey. However smart you are today, tomorrow you can be much smarter. So KPIs also will keep on evolving based on our changing priorities. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it is, Professor.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor. The previous question was our end for the question and answer session. The material was really remarkable.
I think I see a hand raised. I see a hand raised from Jeffrey.
Okay, sorry, Professor. Please, Mr. Jeffrey from the online participants, would you please open the microphone or drop your question through the chat box, maybe?
I think mics are not enabled. So you'll have to put it in the chat.
Is there any issue we could help, Mr. Jeffrey?
You have to enable his mic. His mic is disabled.
Okay, our team has contacted Mr. Jeffrey. Seems we need a moment for the issues. We have asked Mr. Jeffrey to open the microphone and also the camera, but no response from the Mr. Jeffrey. So it seems that our previous question was an end of the Q&A session.
Sure,
Would it be okay, Professor?
I'm okay.
Okay.
There's no other
Sure
question.
thing. Lovely, sure thing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Professor Kishore Narang.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, and good morning from Indonesia.